What's up, y'all? It's 3-time in Tennessee. How are you? Hope you're well. Hope everything is going right in your world here on this Wednesday, Hump Day, January the 7th of 2026. And as a note of progress to begin this show, I did write 26 after 1 and 7 on the notepad today. Had gotten in the habit of still writing 25. It's happened, let's see here, I think 3 times in the new year with shows, but today got it right. 1/7/26. Hope you're having a good day. It's, I believe, I saw yesterday, potentially a record high in Knoxville today, temperature-wise. Do we have any of those outside cams? What's going on in the world out there? We check on one of our weather cams back there, Miss Ainsley or Mr. Daniel. Can we get a look out there? Can we get a look out there just to see what's going on in our fair city on this day?
Let's take a gander.
What's going on? There's the Valley Cam. Do we have anything in Gatlinburg? Sometimes that's a prettier one. That's in the Valley. We're just kind of chilling there. I'm going to see what's going on over here. There you go. There you go. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, again, we'll see what's going on with the polar ice caps in a few years. But right now, I tell you, not having to wear 3 jackets this time of year, it may be a long-term loss, but short-term, it's got some benefits. I'm trying to see the sunny side up there with Ms. Ainsley and Mr. Daniel back there. Y'all doing all right today? Having a good day?
I am doing great. What about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm excited to be back learning this show and hanging out with Wes.
I'm doing all right today. It's a beautiful day, which is helping in some ways because this morning, now Tennessee started a basketball game last night that almost ended the day after it started. And we did, in fact, speak with Rick Barnes right after the game, but technically the day after the game started because it was a 9 p.m. Eastern tip there at Food City Center. And most importantly, Tennessee did beat Texas 85-71, a lot more good than bad in that game. And we'll talk about that later. I'll probably get to some football portal stuff first. But there was it was a late game, right? And then we got to, finish some stuff for the morning newscasts and get some other stuff ready. And then, long story short, I'm rolling back to Fort Rucker about 3 a.m. or so. And then this morning had an HVAC estimate guy come out, and apparently he misunderstood what my wife and I asked for. We asked for an estimate on, replacing some HVAC stuff. Apparently we were asking for a brand new Chevy Silverado fully loaded. When I got that estimate, I was like, wait, this was just for our house, right? Like, this is not for all of Old North Knoxville. This is just our house, right? And he's like, well, yeah, that's the estimate. And I'm like, So now in my head, I'm thinking, do we really need moderated air in the house with the pregnant wife and the the toddler? And I think we do, but that's unfortunate. Might be a little tight there for a couple months, but hey, that's what you got to do, right? So I'm doing all right. Other than that, that's not the way. You don't really want to wake up generally after just a couple hours of sleep anyway. But to wake up, to that's even a little more painful. So good night for the Vols, though. We'll talk about that later. 85-71. Before that, though, some portal updates going on right now, and I would be lying if I told you it's been a tremendous 23 hours for Tennessee on the portal front. Again, portal. There's a lot that goes on there, and it ebbs, flows, comes in, comes out, good days, bad days, good cycles, bad cycles. I don't judge portal cycles until they're done, but objectively speaking, this is not subjectively speaking, objectively speaking, it has not been a great 23 hours or so for Tennessee. We spoke at the end of yesterday's show about the possibility that Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson could potentially come to Tennessee if he didn't get the NFL draft grade that he wanted, which was first reported by good old reliable Chris Lowe, now with On3, and I confirmed that. And for a second consecutive year, there was a decent, at least a puncher's chance there that Ty Simpson might end up transferring to Tennessee. As it turns out, though, he apparently got the grade that he wanted, so he has declared for the draft, and so he won't be coming to Tennessee. And then some other not great news. Jordan Ross, Tennessee's edge rusher, went into the portal, and so that's now, assuming he goes, that's the top 3 edge rushers Tennessee's got to replace. And I think this number is a bit of a misnomer bit of a misnomer, I would say. But Tennessee's got more than 24 players technically in the portal now. I would say from this team, realistically, the number is more like 20. But just for different purposes, guys who didn't play this year, and I'm talking about guys who were on this team this year or could have played on this team this year. That was about 20, and a few of those were walk-ons. So it's not quite the alarmingly high number it looks like. Still more than you want. No way to sugarcoat that, but you go change almost your entire defensive staff, you do expect that you will have some guys who want to go. And in this day and age, you'll have guys who just want to go anyway because they'll say, I'm worth X. And Tennessee will say, we think you're worth more like Y. And then you get into a bit of a standoff, and one side's got a bluff. So either the player accepts the offer that he's got, or he goes into the portal and tests the waters to see if somebody thinks that he's worth X. And in some cases, it could be a deal where some of the new position coaches coming in for Tennessee have slightly different preferences for guys that they want size-wise, just sort of quickness, size, agility, strength. Systems can be similar but different, and so you might have different requests. And so there could be a player where, let's say, and I'm just, for an easy round number, let's say a player thinks he's worth a cool $1 million. Just one, because some quarterbacks are worth more than that. Let's just say a guy says, I'm worth $1 million. And maybe Tennessee's former defensive coordinator, the way they play with Tim Banks, goes, yeah, I think we're going to have to pay that for you. But Jim Knowles might say, you're not $1 million player necessarily in my system. Now, we don't want you to leave, so we'll pay you $500, $750, $800, whatever. But we're not going to go to $1 million because this pool of money is not infinite. We do have to manage this a little bit better. And so, this is kind of where we are. This is what we'll offer. And then the player can go, okay, or no, I'm going to go in the portal and get a bidding war going with other schools, and I think somebody will pay me $1 million. And so you will say, and people will say, and they're not wrong, is this even college football anymore? And to that, I would say, yes, it is. It's different. But now, these kinds of things happened all the time for years just out of high school recruiting, and it was illegal, and it still happened. So now it's at least legal or, legal adjacent, depending on what the gray areas where they operate. And we'll see, because there's some things with the NIL Go stuff, and, if these players, or you have to get some of this stuff cleared through the NCAA, and there's some circumstances where some of these guys might not be eligible if rulings go a certain way. So keep an eye on that stuff. But regardless, at the end of the day, it is different, and it is a shock to the senses, and it is something that will bother and has bothered and is bothering and will continue to bother a lot of people. And I understand that. Do I love it? No, not particularly. But is this the player's fault? No. My opinion. Not a fact, my opinion. No. I think you're worth, as an individual, whatever somebody will pay you to do a job. Very few people are in the same job every single year. A lot of us have worked at a few different companies, and what you do is you make decisions for your family, for yourself, about where you want to be, what you think you're worth, how you're treated, all these things, right? And you'll say, well, college football is not supposed to be like that. Well, no, it's not. But how much money are these coaches making? How much money are these institutions making? Now, a lot of that goes for good because it funds other sports at universities. And I hope, and I worry this doesn't happen, but I think it might, as these things evolve. I think lower revenue sports will really get squeezed, perhaps eliminated. And that would be really bad. And I hope that does not happen. I worry that it will. But you can either sit there and complain about the way the world is, or you can accept the world the way it is, or you can be somewhere in the middle. And I think most people will probably fall in the middle there. And then it's just a matter of, does this bother them enough to where they're no longer interested? And I would say for college football culture, as seeped into the marrow of people that it is, those people, by and large, are still going to watch. Now, will some of those people say, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to wait till I'm going to see what the rosters look like in August, late July, and then I'll pay attention. But in the off season now, whatever, it's horse trading. I don't, I'm not doing this. I'm going to go watch sports while they're in season and just stop caring about sports when they're out of season, because I don't want to get invested in all this that's going on. And I think you have to worry about booster fatigue in some of these cases, because you're going to have to keep paying more and more money. And you're probably not going to like that. And essentially what you're doing is shelling out a lot of money for 1-year deals. Or maybe some cases, not even a 1-year deal, maybe a 2-day deal, as we'll see in just a second here, talking about the situation there with Desmond Williams in Washington, where he signs a reported $5 million deal to stay at Washington. And then a couple days later, LSU comes in and says, hey, what if we pay you $6 million? He's like, well, I've already signed for $5 million at Washington to stay. And they're like, yeah, but did you? Does that matter? Because we don't think it matters. We're going to offer you $6 million and you can accept it. And you can come here, and you know what? Bet. Come on, NCAA. Take this to court with your track record. See how this works out for you. And the issue, in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer. There's a lot of things I'm not. The lawyer's one of them. But I don't know that you're not specifically paying in these deals. The university is not paying you directly and specifically to play football for that university. You do have to go through, middlemen. You have to go through intermediaries, I guess would be the way to put it in 2026. Intermediaries. You have to go through these sorts of loops to do this. But because you do that, again, I'm not a lawyer, but to me it starts to get legally ambiguous there and saying, is that really? Because we don't see this as Washington giving you that's not what they're doing. It's an NIL. It's a collective. Now they're affiliated, but not legally bound necessarily. So again, you kind of get into the weeds there, but that's where things are. And that leads to really sort of hilarious situations. Like yesterday, it turns out Desmond Williams is going to sign with LSU. And while this news is going on, Lane Kiffin is sitting courtside at a basketball game with Sam Leavitt, who has entered the portal after a season at Arizona State and is visiting LSU. And so they're sitting there next to each other, and it's like, hey, by the way, we took the other guy. And there's a great picture circulating. It's all over the internet. And it's not, believe me, it's not AI change. That's legitimate. And they're sitting there like, so, hey, how's this happening? What's going on here? So now you know where that quarterback is going to be today, I believe, unless plans change, and Lord knows they might. Knoxville, Tennessee. Sam Leavitt visiting Tennessee reportedly. And then we will see, but then maybe visits to Oregon, maybe to Miami, and who knows, maybe even to Washington, where Desmond Williams had just signed for $5 million a couple days ago and is now maybe going to LSU for $6 million. So is this dumb? Incredibly. Is it weird? Absolutely. Is it entertaining? Kinda. It is. But I say that again as someone who just covers the stuff. If I'm a diehard, loyal, connected fan who, kind of lives, eats, breathes, sleeps this one school, I'm not happy and I'm nervous because right now, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'm saying, well, you've had what, a couple dozen guys go into the portal, and you've had, as of the time we hit record on this podcast today, Wednesday, January 7th, 2026, 3 p.m. Eastern, as of that time, and we do have to be that specific because, like, you can't even really make, like, clips of your show after the show and put them online because by the time they're out there, it's like, well, I'm glad we were live at the time because this is already pointless a couple hours later, you know, or it's old news or semi-old news at that point. That's the world we're in right now. But if I'm a Tennessee fan, am I nervous about that? Yes. Yes. So I get why people are freaking out right now. It's not been a great 23 hours. It has, to this point, not been a great portal cycle for Tennessee. And we all know it needed to be because Tennessee, after getting into the college football playoff, goes through a year where it should have got there again but didn't. Overhauled some stuff on the staff. Needs to get that roster over the hump. You want to be climbing up the ladder, not kind of sliding down it like at a fire station. So, that's where things stand right now. But I caution people on this all the time. And I think it kind of dovetails nicely with college basketball season in that you judge both of those things when they're done. So let's see how Tennessee responds to this. Because does it look great right now? No. You've lost a whole bunch of defensive linemen, some edge guys. Texas Tech is just outbidding you for everybody in the portal. They're like, bang, bang, get your guns up, oil money. Woo, what do you got? What'd you say, 2? We go 250. We don't care. What, you go 250? We'll go 3. Bang, bang. They don't care. I mean, it's like they take a chisel, hit the ground with it, more oil pops up, and they go buy somebody else. They don't care. And under the rules right now, ain't nothing stopping them. I ain't hating on it. If it were illegal, sure. Let's say, don't do that. It's not. They're just saying, right now, it is Darwinian, as you know what, out there. And we're surviving. We're going to thrive because we care more about this than you do. And we have more oil money than you do. So now what's happened is people for years thought a certain type of booster in college sports was kind of leading the way on this, on having money and everything. But then you see this NIL era happen, and then it's like real money comes in. Like billion with a B, not M, a millionaire, billionaire. That's what happens. That's who's in this thing now. Guys like Mark Cuban getting in on this action now. That's where things are. And I wish they could scale back the rules a little bit, but they could have done this 20 years ago and they didn't. Could have done it 10 years ago, didn't. And then by being intransigent, they kind of opened up the floodgates. So we'll see if this can get closed. We got a lot more to talk about with this because where Tennessee goes at quarterback, what's going to happen there. Some players have decided to stay, though, so we'll talk about that too. And then by the end of this, we got to get to last night's battle of the UTs over there at Food City Center, where Tennessee took care of Texas 85-71. We'll talk about all that right when we come back here in just a minute on 10 at 3. Secret show time. Just to warn everybody, when we're doing these things, I am absolutely going to be using that time to take a sip of Old Jumbo over here. It's a long night. I'm not complaining. We got the best jobs on the planet. You will never, ever hear me in any serious degree complain about the job. I hate it when people do that because it's like, dude, we knew what we were signing up for with this. You know what you're getting into with this business now. Come on. Come on. Especially you work in sports. Come on. Games are played at night and on the weekends. and travel's involved. Is what it is. Got to go. Caffeine up. You got to do it. It's like the old Wyclef song or whatever. Like, give a kiss to your family. I'll be back in November. I mean, it's kind of what this thing is at times. It's like, yeah, games are going to end when they end, sometimes late at night, and you got to deal with it. It doesn't mean your kid's not going to be waking up just a few hours later. That's life. Like, hey, and I understand it, but my peers who and a lot of even my favorite people in the business do this. I ain't about that. I mean, it's like, man, we are blessed to do what we do. There's nothing that I would rather do. There's only a couple other things I'd even tolerate doing, because we got dream jobs, man. So sometimes you're in there late. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world. Suck it up, buttercups. Let's go. Do what we're doing right here. Get you some caffeine. That's what it is. Caffeine, not illegal. And just keep rolling. Welcome back to 10 at 3 here with Wes Rucker and Ms. Ainsley and Mr. Daniel sitting here on a beautiful, warm, little smoggy in the valley. Little what do you call it? Little Los Angeles action going on. But out in Gatlinburg, whew, if you're watching, look at that. Beautiful. That's a postcard is what that is.
It's gorgeous out there.
I was talking during the break about how lucky we are to do what we do for a living. That's what I consider it anyway, because it's just a blessing to be able, like, very few people, how many people can say that they get to spend their lives doing what they wanted to do with them? Being able to, like, I got a lot of friends, and I'll be candid, a lot of them make a lot more money than I do. And they just hate their jobs. And it's like at least 40, usually more hours a week where you're just doing something you don't like, because at the end of the day, you get money for it and it's nice and you got a swimming pool at the house and everything's good. But, like, man, we're just lucky to do this. Lucky. We're sitting in here talking sports or other things if we want to. Chubby Chester if we want to. No updates on that. Daniel did check before we went live today. He is still just rocking back with the original owner, sitting there. And I did, and I had this planned. I had planned a temporary new logo for the show. And there's one that I think we can show that I put on social media, and they can pop that up if they want to there on the screen. If they want to just go through my X account and find it. Doesn't have to, but if you do, that's cool. But there's another one that's even better, where it doesn't just have Chester on it. It's got Chester, it's got my face, it's got Emily's face, it's got Elijah's face. It is art. It is art. But a certain coworker I won't name did not love that particular photo of themselves. And because I will never post an image of a coworker without their permission, we do get consent on 10 at 3 with Wes Rucker. That's what we do. We're about that. So I have to wait and I have to redo it, and then hopefully I'll have the new one. But there is, if you go look on, there is one with Chester there in the corner. He's just kind of hanging out. We got a couple of versions of that. But we got a lot to talk about while we look up that, or don't. Either way's fine. Tennessee with the transfer portal got a lot going on there. A lot going on. We talked a lot about the quarterback stuff. What's Tennessee going to do now? Well, I mean, I think we see what the modified plan A is. That modified plan A, what's Sam Leavitt want? Offer it. Try to get him here. If not that, then who do you go to then after that? I don't know. I'm sure they got a list. I don't think they're putting every egg in this basket, but this is the biggest basket. And a lot of people think it's the number one quarterback in the portal. So if you do that, all's well that ends well. But, I mean, he's going to have a lot of other suitors. So we'll see where all that ends. And then on the defensive stuff, they got a lot to get to there. I'm just going to be real. You lose Josephs, Herring, and now looks like Ross all to the portal. Right now, if they were, again, right now, I stress this, right now, if they were to play a game right now, they would have on the edge Christian Gass, a young, talented player, and then 3 true freshmen at the edge spots. And I'm just going to take a guess that group would not be quite as productive as the assembly line of NFL players Tennessee's had there in recent years. You know, like guys who are already stars in the National Football League. Your Byron Youngs, your James Pierce Jr.'s, Joshua Josephs is going to be going, I think, fairly early in the draft this season. But what I find so interesting about this is that Tennessee has been sort of an assembly line for these edge guys to the league recently as Leos. Tennessee's new defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, is one of the first and most successful and most prominent people to put Leo positions in the game. Like, he's one of the people that position is sort of known for. Him, the guys with the Seattle Seahawks, they're some of the first ones who really kind of use this at a high level. And so Tennessee's been an assembly line to the league anyway. Then you're bringing in a coach who's known for this, among other things, but also known for this. And you got a couple guys going into the portal. It's like, it's odd. And again, with Herring, we mentioned this, he's a little thinner. I could see that. Knowles likes Leo's a little bigger. I could see that being an issue. Ross, it can't be that, because he's got, with the size, the ability, the upside there, it's got to be money or something else. It just has to be. I don't want to put any carts before any horses, but I just, that's got to be, that can't be that. And I've not gotten enough information back from people I've asked about this to know for certain, to a level where I feel comfortable saying this as a fact or something that I will report on the air, even in this format. But I will say that if you were to go Occam's razor on this, you would not say that it's a size thing. You would say it's money or something else. Now, that doesn't mean that's what it is, but there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. I'm much more of an Occam's razor guy. I think what it looks like it is most of the time. Believe people when they tell you something. Believe what they say they're going to do. If they don't do it, okay, well, they didn't. So why? Or, this looks like it's not good. So I'm not going to assume that it's not good, but that's my first inclination because it doesn't look good. So I'm going to say, it doesn't look good. But with the portal stuff, I'm not all about that freaking out right now. If you want to do that, that's fine. It's one of the rules of this show is, you do you, boo-boo. I don't care. I'm not going to tell you what to think. You think whatever you want. If you want to freak out, by all means, freak out. If you want to be concerned but not alarmed, do that. If you want to not worry, if you're more in the don't worry, be happy camp, do that. I'm not going to tell you what you should think. That's not my job. I don't have the desire to do that. I don't have the intelligence to do that. I don't have the mind control skill to do that. I don't want to change what you think. And if I wanted to, I couldn't. But I'll tell you what I think. Let's see where it ends. That's what I think. That doesn't mean you can't analyze things as they're going. I mean, if the only way you could talk about any sport was the result of the end of the season, then you would be talking about sports, 10 days a year? For all the sports combined, like 10, 12 days a year, where you're like, okay, now it's ended, now we can talk about it. No, that's nonsense. So we can say what things look like. We can say, I think this is happening, or, I think this could be really good. That's fine. It's all good. What I'm saying is the everything is on fire stuff. I try to remind people if you're new to being a Tennessee fan, let's say the past 2 or 3 years, this will look like a disaster to you. It will, because, football could have gone to the playoff, didn't. Men's basketball had dropped a couple games it shouldn't have. Women's basketball dropped a couple games shouldn't have. Tony Vitello goes to the San Francisco Giants. If you're comparing just this year to 365 days ago, heck yeah, things look rough. Who's going to sit there and say otherwise? If you're a Tennessee fan, or at least someone who's been around Tennessee for any time longer than a couple years, though, I think it would make sense to have the perspective of what really is a disaster. We have seen disasters. We have seen problems. I mean, it's always like the sun was always going to come up the next day, but was it going to be nuclear fallout? Maybe. And not just because Oak Ridge is down the road. Like, yeah. There were some days here where it's like, this is, you don't want to say as bad as it gets, but close. So I think long-term, big picture, I don't see things on fire. I see things that have not gone the way you'd like. You'd like to correct them. And it feels like we used to kind of live in a world where people would sort of understand that. Not everybody wins the championship every year. Not everybody wins every game they play. But you know what? Reshuffle the deck, have a go next year. Let's see what's going on, right? That's not the world now, because, and I think the money that's involved in these things, and this is where I don't blame fans at all. You're paying more than you ever have for anything. To go to games, you're having to pay talent fees on top of those tickets, which are already expensive. And, the gas to go places is more expensive. If you just want to watch the game and you got to pay for this network or stream this or stream that or get this, or is this in the bundle? Is this not in the bundle? That's more expensive. Even this is not the players or coaches' fault, but even like the food you're eating and beverages you're drinking during the game, even if they're at your own house, are more expensive than they've ever been. So when you pay more for things, you naturally feel more entitled to things. And the amount of money that it costs to really be a fan, like to go places, to travel, to get tickets, even just season tickets for home games, for like the PSLs and for the fees you got to pay. Yeah. If I pay that much and you don't win, I'm going to run my mouth, and that's fine. And if you are an athletic director or player or coach, it does not give anyone license to abuse you, even like, digitally. But with all the things that you are given, with all the blessings in your life financially, this stuff comes with it. So you're going to get it. And that's just how this thing goes now. If that makes everything more transactional, that's the way the world is. It's like, hey, if are you ride or die with me, or are you only happy when I win? Well, then we're not connected. This is just a business relationship. And from a fan, you're thinking, well, you're only here for a year and you're only here because you got paid. I'm not connected to you. This is just transactional. I can't say you're wrong. I would argue, however, to one degree or another, it has always been that way, and there were just things you didn't have to know. There were things done in recruiting that you kind of knew about, but you kind of didn't, because you kind of didn't want to. or people like me would only be able to report stuff we could document, that we could prove, because that's the way fair journalism works, and we don't just throw things against the wall. So there's a long list of things that I've seen over 25 years that I know, but I can't report because I can't prove it. And if I were to write this and someone were to sue me, and I would say, well, I know this happened because I just know. Someone told me. I can't tell you who it was. Someone told me, and I know this. Well, can't prove that, so I'm not going to report it. It's not fair. So it's, I would say candidly, at least it's more honest now. And I think once people make an adjustment to that, then we'll see who's still going to be a fan, who's not, who's still going to put money into this, who's not. But now, for right or wrong, we know what it is. You cannot, there is no plausible deniability now on what this is. There's none. There is no way that you could think this is anything other than what it is, because now it's out there. Now we know. Now we see it. Now we report it. Now you watch it and listen to it and read it. So we know. And what I appreciate about that is that it's more transparent. I've always believed, call me naive, sunshine's the best disinfectant for the long term. It may be awkward in the short term. It may be embarrassing, may be painful. But I practice what I preach there, because my entire life, I'll tell you everything I do. I don't care. I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. If I'm trying to report things from other people, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, even if you don't care, even if you don't care at all. I'll be like, hey, this is what I did. This is what I think about it. Now, here's the neighborhood I live in. I don't care. I don't. But, you know, there's no way to sort of put the head in the sand now. Now we can all see what this is, what it is not. Unless they change the rules, which good luck with that. Good luck with that. You're going to have to collectively bargain. You're going to have to get unions. That's the only way that I think this becomes stable. Because you would say, okay, what if you just let a free market decide this, and then some people will overextend themselves and crash out, and we'll see who can actually afford this and who can't, and we'll move on. Maybe, but the difference there is that there are always going to be people who are going to want to win and are going to want to do anything it takes to win, and they're just going to keep paying even if they can't afford it. Once you get a taste of that lifestyle, or you just see that lifestyle, or you get envy because your neighbor has that lifestyle, you want it. So even if somebody else crashes and burns because they overextended themselves way, way, way badly, if they do that, then, but they win while they're doing it, you don't care. You see that and go, that is a warning, but you know what I like? Dubs. I like trophies. I like bragging to my neighbor who went to my rival school. I like going to an airport and wearing my school's colors, and people have to sit there and say, ugh, they're winners over there. And so I don't know. I don't think just letting the market correct itself will work in this case. They're going to have to do something about it. And what they can do, I don't know. We'll have to bring lawyers in here to ask them those questions, or people who can do anything more than basic math, because that's where the train ends with me. A lot more portal stuff to discuss. We'll have more certainly on that in 23 hours. Tennessee going after Chaz Coleman still. There's a bunch of guys out there Tennessee still going after, and we'll see maybe in 23 hours there's more news on that. But for now, we are well overdue. Also, Deshaun Bishop is coming back, so let's not forget to say that. You don't want to assume anything. But he has signed a new deal. He is staying at Tennessee. Not that was ever in serious doubt. Nonetheless, he's back. Good news for Tennessee there. There's a few guys who have already committed and back, and that's good. But we're overdue to talk about this Tennessee-Texas basketball game, and we got to catch a break before that. So we're going to do that after this quick break here on 10 at 3. Be right back. Secret time. I think I had just just enough fuel in this to get through the hour. I didn't have to fuss at anyone. Be like, can someone bring me water or whatever else is in here undisclosed?
You're the talent. That's our job.
Yeah, the offer still stands if you need a refill.
Never liked the word talent. I know people use it in this business, but to me that implies like humans with real talent. And I'm like, not that. It's talking, it's typing. I don't know. Like everybody was born with the ability to talk, and like Mavis Beacon taught everybody to type. So like, I don't know what it is that is an actual skill here. What is involved in this that is actually a skill. You could have Chubby Chester come up here and do this.
Can we?
I wish. And you know what? Might be more entertaining. And you could have Chubby Chester sit there and you tell him, here's two things, pick left or right. And that's the pick he makes for the game. He might do better than all of us. It's like when the Super Bowl, they have like, they go to zoos and they have people, oh, let's see which team the otter thinks will win this Super Bowl. And then the otter's right and like 80% of Americans are wrong. So I don't know. Yeah, talent, not the right word. I got to find another word for that. I don't.
What about on-air personality? That one gets tossed around sometimes.
That's or just Wes. That also just works. That's fine with me. You know, it's like weird. Like if somebody becomes the president, people got to call them like Mr. President or whatever. It's like, I've known this guy for 50 years. He can just go ahead and call me Jim or Alan or whatever it is that my name is. You know, it's not. I don't know about that. Welcome back to 10 at 3. We got one more segment to you today coming to you from WBIR's beautiful world headquarters here just a couple miles away from downtown Knoxville, Tennessee on a historically warm day here in Knoxville. And you know who might be responsible for that? Ja'Kobi Gillespie. Because I think it was Nobel laureate Eminem, Marshall Mathers, who said, that boy hot enough to melt hell, burn Satan too. That was Ja'Kobi Gillespie last night. That dude is hot enough to burn hell. That was a show that he put on a couple miles away from here at Food City Center. Tennessee wins 85-71. Ja'Kobi Gillespie, the Greenville, Tennessee native, just down the road, puts up a career-high 34 points. 34 points. What a performance. I think 22 of them came in the first half, too. And it's not just that he scored that many points. It was the efficiency with which he did it. He finished 12 of 18 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, 5 of 5 from the free throw line, which, hey, Tennessee making free throws. Look out. They made some free throws. They made more than 50% of them. In fact, 72.4% of them as a team, which is about dead on average for what a team should be doing. So let's not throw a parade. But when you've been shooting as a team 68% and in your last game you shot 54%, hey, that 72.4% looks borderline sexy at that point when you deal with what you've been dealing with. So, and he was 12 of 18, 5 of 8 from 3, and that was despite a couple shots that he missed when he really went on some heat checks there late in the game when it was over. So when the game was really still in the balance, he was 12 of 16 from the field and 5 of 7 from 3. And he had 5 assists, 2 turnovers. He really could have had 10 assists, but some guys just missed shots where he set them up perfectly. He had 3 steals. He scored at all 3 levels. Now, Texas isn't great defensively. Sean Miller is a really good basketball coach, and I think he will do some really good things at Texas. But he's got some guys who can play offense on that team. Does not have a lot of defenders. And Tennessee very clearly early on was trying to get Texas's big man off the floor. Because he's a 7-footer, he clogs up space, he can protect the rim a little bit, he can kind of get on the offensive glass. If you can get him off the floor, then it's kind of, if you don't turn it over, you're going to get some good looks against that defense. And his name, by the way, Matas Vokatitis, which sounds like a serious illness, but that's actually his name. It's like if you just have Vokatitis, that's not good, but it's treatable. If you got Matas Vokatitis, you need to go to the ER immediately. if that's going on. And I mean, amoxicillin's not going to handle that, whatever that is. That is, you're going to need more than Tussin to fix that. But he got 3 fouls in the first half, only played 12 minutes in the game, and Tennessee was able to just score at will. Tennessee actually scored 85 points in that game despite not scoring the final 3:16 of the game. So we did cut this up, and we're going to show this. We've got, I'm going to call it a super cut, basically. It's all Ja'Kobi Gillespie theme. We got Rick Barnes talking about Ja'Kobi Gillespie, and then we got Ja'Kobi Gillespie talking about Ja'Kobi Gillespie after the game last night. And we didn't necessarily have to play this, but I took the time to cobble all this together, and I don't want to waste it. So right now, here is Ja'Kobi Gillespie and Tennessee basketball coach Rick Barnes.
Like most about Ja'Kobi tonight?
I thought he was really locked in starting yesterday after Saturday's game and our film session, and the boatload of mistakes we made at Arkansas. He came out yesterday, and you could tell he was really locked into doing his part individually, more defensively than anything. And I thought today his defense is what got him really going. I thought he was really working hard on the defensive end, and then we know that he can get it going like he did. Obviously, he was very effective in the middle ball screen, but it started in practice the day before.
Ja'Kobi, when you bank a 3 in, is that when you already know is your night at that point? How much do you have it going when you get those to go?
Wait, repeat that again. I couldn't really. What'd you say?
Banked in the 3. Is that how much of the?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a lucky shot. But when it left my hands, I knew it was long, so I was just hoping it banked in. But yeah.
Prefer longer threes? It's weird to ask, but a deeper three you like better?
I don't say I prefer it, but I don't really notice if it is deeper just because of how I shoot the ball. So, yeah, I don't say I prefer it, but I don't really notice it.
Ja'Kobi, what was working so well for you tonight? Just one of those nights where shots went in, or anything out of the blue tonight to help you?
I feel like we were playing good in the first half defensively that allowed me to get out in transition. And then DB, I mean, him, Fee, Jay, they all set me great screens, and they were in a drop, so I was just coming off shooting it. So I feel like that's what really got me going.
You feel like this was one of your better overall games, just with the assists and the steals on both ends of the floor?
Yeah, you could say that. That's probably one of my best games here at Tennessee.
Ja'Kobi, you guys had 24 fast break points. How much of that was like an emphasis on increasing speed in this game?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely wanted to get out in transition, but that we got to get stops and turnovers to be able to run in transition. So that was our main emphasis this week, just playing better defense and helping each other.
Ja'Kobi, when you grew up coming to Tennessee games, did you kind of dream of nights like this as a little kid?
Yeah, for sure. Just, I would say making shots was good. It felt good, but it was good to get our first SEC win because I also watched a lot of Tennessee SEC games, so it felt good to get a win.
How do you kind of keep your, the rhythm going in a game where there's 44 foul calls? I mean, you're a guy who's on the ball a lot of the time, and you shot well tonight, so it looked like you were in rhythm anyway. How do you keep that going when there's so many whistles?
I mean, I just keep playing. I mean, I don't think you really lose your rhythm just because foul shots or anything. So just keep playing, making the right plays, and just playing hard.
And I think we could say that he did that. He did play hard. And it was the most Rick Barnes answer ever when a guy scores 34 points and he goes, it started with his defense. Maybe. He did play better defensively. I'm not positive that's why he put on the offensive performance that he did, but hey, I throw this caveat out there every day on this program. Between me and Rick Barnes, we're going to have one basketball Hall of Fame presentation. It will not be me. So I'm just going to assume in most cases that he knows more about basketball than I do. Doesn't mean we don't ask questions because that's what we do. But Gillespie, that was a heck of a performance. And I tell you who else I really liked last night was Dwayne Brown II. And not for the first time this season. I really liked that freshman. He was he was a good prospect, considered he wasn't like an elite, one of the best players in the country. This was a guy that Auburn and Alabama weren't really chasing all that hard in their own state. But this is a big guy that Rick Barnes loved, and then the kid got here, and he's better than he even thought he was. And Ja'Kobi Gillespie, we didn't have this cut in the super cut, but he did say he's played college basketball now for 4 or 5 years and still believes that this Tennessee freshman class is the most mature group of freshmen that he's ever been around. And Rick Barnes has said that a lot. Obviously, Nate Ament's been up and down, but I'm telling you, just don't bet against that guy, because when you have a guy who, I guess in soccer they'd call you a match winner, a guy who, when he does what he can do, can win you some games you wouldn't have won without him. There's a reason why Rick Barnes lets him play through some of these mistakes. There's no version of this Tennessee team that doesn't reach its absolute ceiling without this special player being special. And so he does have a bit longer leash to go out there and make some mistakes than most Tennessee players do, and frankly, more than just about any freshman I've ever seen play for Rick Barnes. But it's awkward at times. He goes out there and has 2 turnovers in the first 95 seconds. It's awkward. You're like, ugh. And normally just one of them would have gotten somebody hooked by Rick Barnes, especially as a freshman. You go out there and put a foot wrong like that, you're out for a while. He did it twice. Stayed out there. And I think that tells you the story. I don't think Rick Barnes is the one making the mistake there. I think Rick Barnes is seeing what I think is the obvious, which is that this team needs him to be the best version of itself it can be. But that does not mean that, Ament played 22 minutes last night. That's not a ton. And you know who didn't play at all was Ethan Berg. He was not, and Amari Abram played only 7 minutes and didn't play at all in the first 17 minutes of the game. And you saw Troy Henderson get out there and play more than 7 minutes, the freshman who did not play against Arkansas. And Barnes apologized to him, said, I should have had you out there. You've earned it, and I didn't do it. He got him out there really quick in the next game. And this is what it's going to be. Tennessee could be playing 12 guys. You're not going to do that. You're not going to play that many guys. You're just not. This is not – most basketball systems are just not conducive to that. Maybe in a 48-minute game at the NBA level, maybe you can do that a little. But still then, there's a reason why most teams play 9, 10 guys and some play 8. Because there's only 200 minutes to go around. There's only so many minutes. You have to have some continuity, some rhythm. And so that means the good news is when you have this many guys, and with Cade Phillips, it'd be 13, but he's out for the rest of the season. So that would be a good thing, and it is, because it creates competition. The bad thing is that means that every single game, you're going to have at least 2 guys saying, why did I play not at all or just a couple minutes? I'm better than that. You might be right. But this team got a lot of guys. And so if you want to stay in the mix and your name is not Ja'Kobi Gillespie and Nate Ament, because the rules will be different for them, and in my opinion, should be different for them. Again, you treat everybody fairly. You don't treat everybody the same. They're different things. But you're going to have competition like this. You're going to have guys like Troy Henderson going after the minutes of Ethan Berg. You're going to have Amari Evans, a freshman who I just love. And I think everybody loves watching this kid play. He is dynamite. He does a little bit of everything. He's a classic Rick Barnes player. 6'5", length, athleticism, plays like his hair's on fire defensively, active offensively, doing stuff. He checked into the game last night and got a steal immediately. He's a problem. He's a menace. And I think he's just a perfect – he and Dwayne Brown II, if they stay together at Tennessee for a few years, that's going to be some dudes that the rest of this league is going to hate. They're going to hate. They're going to respect them. They're going to hate them. They play hard. They give you problems. And you're going to have a guy like Amari Evans be in competition for a guy like Amari Abram. And Bishop Boswell, when he's not in foul trouble, he's going to be on the floor a lot because Rick Barnes loves him, and you can tell why with all the stuff he does on both ends. So you're going to have competition throughout the season. This is not a deal where when it gets to March, at that point, you will know who is playing and who's not, by and large. But until the very tail end of the regular season, you still could and maybe should have competition on this team for who's doing what to deserve this, both in practice, but also to game reps, which I do think, sorry coaches, I think those should be weighed a little heavier. Those are when the lights are on. That's what's going on there. But it was a good win for Tennessee. And now we got a couple more days to talk about it because Tennessee's got a big test coming up on Saturday. Going down to Gainesville, playing the reigning national champion Florida Gators, who are a bit up and down, but have serious talent and whooped up on Georgia last night. So that will be a big game, an exciting game. Tennessee will be looking to do better than it did last season when it went down to Gainesville and pretty much put a used diaper on the floor. That was bad. Tennessee's performance last year at Florida in basketball, top 5 worst performances I've ever seen from any Tennessee team in any sport. And last night, J.P. Estrella goes, yeah, it wasn't the best day. It's like, that is the most polite way to put that. That is the most polite way you could put that. Now, they beat Florida later in the year, and Florida did go on to win the national championship. So, again, not all bad, but when they were in Gainesville last time, that was rough. They gotta improve on that, and that's a big game for both teams. We got 2 more days to discuss that. We got 2 more days to talk transfer portal this week. We got, and who knows, maybe something's going on with Chester too, because he's always in our hearts and hopefully on our logo soon. So thank you to Miss Ainsley. Thank you to Mr. Daniel for being here today, helping us with the 1s and 2s. And thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you probably in about 23 hours.